Hi, we're going to read the next chapter, A Riddle Over Dumplings. It's chapter 2. All right. So, Benny saw them first. It's Cousin Allison and Cousin Joe and Sue Lee, he cried. He was very excited to see Sue Lee. She was the same age he was, and they had been good friends ever since Cousin Joe and Cousin Alice had adopted her from Korea. Cousin Alice hugged them all, and when they got to the pavilion, and she thanked Mr. Shen for bringing them. After Mr. Shen said goodbye, Cousin Joe said, "We arrived just a little while ago. We have been all packed for a few days, and we're just waiting for a call from the Silvertons about your next destination. They made all the arrangements for us. We got to fly on a really big plane, but the seats got turned into beds," Sully told them. "It was really fun." "How did you get here before us?" Violet asked. "China is a long way from Connecticut, isn't it?" "It is," Cousin Alice said. "But the planes take what you call a shortcut. They fly right over the North Pole, so it isn't as far as you think. But remember, we stopped halfway and spent the night," Henry said. "They didn't have to stop." "You arrived just at the right time. We're so glad you're here," Jessie said. "Sounds like you have had a very exciting time," Cousin Al said, hugging Benny again. "I hope we get to have more exciting times now that we're here too," Sue Lee also said. "What's this I hear about one of the Silvertons who have gone missing?" Cousin Joe asked. "He heard the FBI thinks she's been stealing items instead of returning them." "We don't believe it," Henry said. "It's Tricia Silverton." So my question to you guys is, do we think Trisha's guilty, or is she what we call a red herring, something that the author's leading us to think is guilty, but it really isn't, somebody who is? Interesting. "We don't believe it," Henry said. "She was seen in Paris at the time of the valuable ring being stolen, but we don't think she took it. She's been leaving us clues wherever we are supposed to deliver the artifacts." "Well, that doesn't make sense that Trisha would be stealing art and jewelry at the same time she is helping us return valuable things," Jessie said. "We've been in contact with Mr. Carter from the FBI about our latest clue. We are supposed to contact him when we get more." The Aldens had been first met Mr. Carter back when he helped investigate a mystery at their aunt's ranch. They had been surprised to learn that he was investigating some recent art and jewelry thefts in Europe and Africa. "I don't understand why she doesn't just call and explain where you're supposed to go," Cousin Joe said. "That we don't understand either," Violet said. "It really is a big mystery." So do we think I think the word we want to use, readers, is compromise, that Tricia Silverton thinks that her information could get compromised or intercepted or mistakenly given to the wrong people? Hmm. "We just know she's really not a bad person," Benny added. "I hope it all gets straightened out soon," Cousin Al said. "I don't know where we are going now that we are in Beijing, but the Silvertons arranged a driver for us. She won't be here for another hour. They thought you wouldn't be arriving until then." "Wow, good," Henry said. "We need some time before we leave the airport to figure out a better way to keep the artifacts safe." He told Cousin Joe, Cousin Alice, and Sue Lee about the attempts to steal the duffel bag in Egypt. "I have an idea," he continued. "The Argents know the artifacts are in the duffel bag, so they aren't safe there anymore. We need to move them into something else, but we don't want the Argents to know exactly where they are. I had an idea we could do something like the shell game that Emilio showed us. Do you remember how he was moving the cups around on the plane with the popcorn in it?" So readers, what could they put those artifacts in? Think about that. What do you take along on a trip? If we divide up the artifacts into other bags, but still carry the duffel bag, the Argents will think the artifacts are still in there. And if they try to steal the artifacts again, they'll try to steal the duffel bag. It will be a decoy. Oh, that's another good word that people often use. A decoy is like something that looks like it's supposed to be the real thing, but it's really fake. And I was first introduced to that word when I was young. A decoy was a duck that you'd put out to attract other ducks. My dad and brothers are hunters. So, kind of interesting. Might work. That's a great idea, Jesse said. There are 4 boxes left. We can each carry one. We could put them with our clothes in our backpacks, suggested Violet. We could, but I had another idea, Henry said. We don't want to carry our heavy backpacks with us all the time. Well, then where will we put them, Benny asked. We need to look like tourists, and tourists often carry cameras. We can get camera cases. We'll get them from for Cousin Alice, Cousin Joe, and Suli too. Their cases will be empty, but no one will know. Even if the agents figure out the artifacts aren't in the duffel bag, they won't know exactly where they are. Mine just might have a real camera in it, Cousin Joe said. He pulled a camera out of another bag. I've been meaning to get a case for it anyway. Where can we get camera cases? Benny asked. Well, large airports usually have a big variety of stores, Cousin Alice said, especially for items the tourists want to buy, like cameras. Let's ask at the front desk. In the camera store, they picked out 7 identical camera cases. Jessie asked if they had any small, empty boxes they didn't need anymore. The owner found boxes that were almost exactly the size as the artifacts boxes. They thanked the store owner. Then they went back to the terminal and found a quiet spot to sit down. When Jessie pulled a wooden box out of the duffel bag, Cousin Joe said, That doesn't look like a safe way to carry a valuable artifact. Cousin Joe and Cousin Alice both love studying and preserving historical objects. Well, it's not supposed to look like there's anything special about it. She opened the lid of the box so Cousin Joe could see the case inside. The artifact is inside this plastic case. It's all padded inside, and see, there's a keypad lock on it. We don't know the combination. Each time we go somewhere to deliver an artifact, we're given a riddle that helps us figure out the code. That makes more sense, Cousin Alice said. I was wondering how you were keeping the artifacts from getting damaged. They divided up the remaining artifacts and took back the paper they'd taken off the wooden boxes and wrapped the pieces around the empty cardboard boxes. Maybe we can get some tape at our next hotel, Jessie said. But for now, this is good enough. We may not run into an Arjun at all. Oh, I hope not, Violet said. I'd be happy if I never saw them again. Cousin Joe checked his watch. It's time to meet our driver. She's supposed to be right outside exit B with a blue van. She'll have a sign that says Alden's on it. They easily found the driver. She was a young woman who introduced herself as Mary Burke. When she greeted them, she spoke with an American accent that sounded like she was from the South. Hello, she said. Welcome to Beijing. Once they were in the van, Mary kept up a steady stream of chatter, telling them all about how she had come to China to study art and then had stayed after she got married. I'm so glad you are able to visit the city. I wish you had time for me to show you the historical sites and beautiful gardens, but I understand you have important work to do. I've been given an address where I'm to take you, she smiled. Do you like dumplings? We love dumplings, Henry replied. Yes, Benny said, and we think much better when we're not hungry. Wonderful. I was informed I should take you to Mr. Lee's dumpling restaurant. There are many dumpling restaurants in Beijing, but Mr. Lee's is popular with some foreign visitors. We can watch dumplings being made there. They are also very good. I'd like that, Jessie said. I've tried to make them, but I'm not very good at it. As they drove to the restaurant, Violet noticed how many people were on bicycles. When she said she was surprised to see so many, Mary explained. It's an easy way to get around. You don't get stuck in so many traffic jams. Mary pulled up in front of a restaurant. She handed Jessie a card with a phone number on it. Call me when you're ready for more rides. The lady who hired me, Mrs. Silverton, paid me to drive you anywhere you want for the next few days. You can leave whatever luggage you want in the van. Enjoy your meal. Do you think they're going to leave their camera cases? They left the backpacks but took the camera bags in the duffel bag and got out of the car. I can already smell the dumplings, Benny said. He could hardly wait to try them. The door to the restaurant had bells on it that jingled when Cousin Alice opened it. The restaurant wasn't very big, but it was crowded with people. Long tables filled the room, and colorful travel posters covered the walls. Red paper lanterns hung from the ceiling. At the back of the restaurant, 2 women were busy filling the dumpling wrappers and sealing them shut, then passing them on to be cooked in a large pan. A man came up to them. Welcome to our restaurant. You must be the Aldens. I am Mr. Lee. We've been expecting you. He showed them to a table, and after they were seated, he said, I'm afraid my daughter was supposed to be here to meet you, but she telephoned to say she'd be late. While you were waiting for her, if you'd like, I'll bring you an assortment of dumplings so you can taste several kinds. Oh, that would be terrific, Jessie said. Thank you. Can we watch the cooks make the dumplings? Of course, Mr. Lee said. Many visitors do like to do that. Children joined the other customers who were gathered in front of the preparation and cooking stations. The cooks worked very quickly. I'm going to practice more when I get home, Jessie said. I don't know if I'll ever be able to be that fast, though. Soon the Alden's big platter of dumplings was ready, and everyone was hungry, so it didn't take long for the dumplings to appear. Jessie, when we get home, you have to practice a lot, Benny said. I could eat these every day. Me too, Sue Lee said. I'll help you practice too. Jessie laughed. That'd be fun. Mr. Lee came back to the table. My daughter called again. She'll be here soon, and she asked me to give you this. He handed Henry an envelope and then went to greet some more customers. The envelope had a drawing of a tiny owl on it. It's another riddle. Wait, there's a second page. There are two riddles. Both of them have owl symbols on them. Why would they have owls? Sully asked. Violet explained what it meant. Well, what does the first page say? She asked Henry to read it out loud. I am a very large dragon. My tail winds through miles and miles of mountains, deserts, and grasslands. I protected my people from those in the north. Now in peace you may walk on my back and gaze out in wonder. If you can find out when I stopped growing, you will see one of my treasures. There's something else. Henry turned the page so they could see. In the big black letters at the bottom of the page were the words, Don't show the artifact to anyone until you can deliver it. Keep it safe. There was one more line in smaller letters. If you need a clue, there is one right near you. Violet shivered. I'm worried we can't keep the artifact safe. She looked around the restaurant. What if some of these people work for the Argents? I don't think so, Jessie said. I don't know how the Argents could find out we were coming to this restaurant. I don't know how they'd even know we've come to China. Well, should I read the second riddle? Henry asked. No, let's work on the first one first. Henry read it again. How can you walk on a dragon's back? Even if dragons were real, I don't think they'd like you to do that. Well, we do know that dragons aren't real, so maybe it's something like a statue of a dragon. We could walk on the back of it, Violet suggested. But a statue couldn't be miles and miles long. Does this riddle make sense to either of you? Henry asked. Cousin Joe shook his head. I can't make heads or tails of it. I can't either, Cousin Alice said. Violet tried to think about the riddle, but she was distracted by all the posters on the wall. Remember, there's a clue near them. She got up and looked more closely at them. There was one of some pretty gardens and one of some boats on a river. Another showed a big wall winding across the tops of mountains. As she stared at it, she noticed the words on the poster. Printed at the bottom of it were the great earth dragon of China. And she stared at it and then said, I found something. I think you need to come look. The rest of the Aldens joined her. Benny looked up at the poster. This is a gigantic wall. Well, it's the Great Wall of China, Henry said. We learned about it in school. It was built to protect China from invaders from the north. Violet pointed. See the words on the poster? Toward the great earth dragon? Man sitting in a nearby table overheard. Yes, Westerners call it the Great Wall, but it has several other names. Some here in China refer to it as the earth dragon. The Aldens looked at each other. Thank you. We didn't know that. Jessie said to the others, let's get back to our table. They sat down. That was a good find, Henry said to Violet. He picked up the riddle again. I think we know what the first and second lines mean. It does look big enough to walk on. That fits the next line. Yes, it's very strong and thick. I still don't know about the last line, Violet said as she picked up the riddle and read it. If you can find out when I stopped growing, you will see one of my treasures. Wonder if, since the wall is built out of bricks, if it has something to do when it was stopped being built. Maybe that's what they'll look up next. Trying to solve it before our detectives do. Took a very long time to build, Henry said, hundreds and hundreds of years. But at some point they stopped building new sections. Maybe it means when it was finished. This says it was finished in 1644. See if the code is the one for the case. Should we open the case here? Violet looked around at all the people in the restaurant. Oh no, no one seems to be paying attention to them, but she was still worried. Let's just take a quick look and then lock it back up, Jessie said. She punched in a code and opened the lid. Inside the box was a small clay disc. It had a Chinese character carved into it. I don't know what this is, Jessie said. Does anyone have any idea? No, unless it's a piece of jewelry, Violet suggested. But I don't see any way to attach it to a necklace or a pin. Looks like a game piece, like a checker, Benny said. Here's a nice picture. Oh, it's very small. Almost looks like a ring. Benny is right. It does look like a checker, Suli said. But why is there only one? It's old, whatever it is, Cousin Al said. More and more people came into the restaurant. Violet looked at each person carefully. All the people were making her nervous. All of them could be working for the Argents. Let's close the lid before anyone sees it, she said. Henry closed the lid. Now we just need to figure out where to take this.